What's up guys, Trevor Hunter here at Dirt Bike Test. Today we're going over Yamaha's all-new YZ250F motocross bike. We've gotten a few days to spend on this bike at various tracks in Southern California, riding it with some other 250Fs as well. And there's a couple setup tips that we thought really helped this bike a lot, at least for our needs. And we thought we'd pass that information along to you guys. So starting off with the suspension. I think overall Yamaha suspension has always been really good, and I think this bike is no different. It's one of the better suspension packages in the game right now, but we feel there is some room for improvement, especially with the fork and kind of just the front end in general. So kind of starting with the fork, we felt is a little bit soft for either our faster racers or heavier faster riders or heavier riders. And the fork would just kind of dive a little bit on decel and get low in the stroke, and just a little unbalanced in that sense. And we felt like the shock is a better direction to go with than the fork, so we kind of made some changes to the fork, and we stiffened up the compression quite a bit. We played with the rebound a little bit, and we were able to get it better, but still not 100% perfect. But stiffening up the fork helped quite a bit with us, and I think if we had more time on this bike, we would try adding some oil to the fork as well to get just a little bit more hold up, maybe like 10-20 cc's. Would probably help this bike out a lot. And one of the things we did to combat this, which also helped with the chassis feel as well, is we dropped the forks from 7mm fork height to a 3mm fork height. And that did two things. It's one, dropping the forks, it kind of helps band-aid a soft fork. It makes it feel a little bit stiffer. So that kind of helped with the soft fork feeling. Then also dropping the forks, what it really did, which we liked more, was helped the stability a lot with this bike. Kind of the previous generation bike was really stable but didn't corner quite as well. But this bike corners really well, but then it lost a little bit of its stability. So dropping that fork height to 3mm mainly for faster tracks, like our Glen Helen Raceway, or we went to Honolulu Hills Raceway in Taft, California. That's another faster track that we went to. And on those high-speed tracks, you get in that chop, you get a little bit of head shake, and the bike kind of dances around a little bit. Dropping that fork height to 3mm really helped with the stability on this bike, but it still corners really well. So we felt like it was a good blend of cornering precision, but a nice stable package as well in the fast stuff. So that 3mm fork height, stiffening up the fork really helped us a lot. For sag, we were running 103 to 105 depending on the rider. That seemed to be the good overall balance, especially with that fork height, and just kind of getting overall a balanced chassis feel. That corners well, was stable. Didn't feel front end high or low or anything. So yeah, that was our go-to setup for as far as like fork height, fork setup, and sag. Moving on to the motor. This motor, on our very first day of riding it, we were a little worried. Yamaha kind of, they took a really good engine and they made it different. Not necessarily better or worse, but they made it different. And we weren't sure if that was the direction we really wanted to go in. But after playing with this motor a little bit more and getting some more time on it, we do feel like this is still a really, really good motor. And is it better or worse? It's up for you to decide. But honestly, we personally, a lot of our test riders do like it better. It doesn't have quite that bottom end and that torque that the old bike had, but it still has more than just about any other 250F out there. So that says something. But we were able to, with playing with some mapping and stuff, we were able to kind of reinvigorate that bottom end torque feel that we were missing with this on this day one. And we feel like the gains they made on the top end power are worth a little bit of the loss on the low end power that this new motor, or this new kind of new motor fuel has. Yeah, playing with some mapping. The map we actually like the best so far is the response map that we actually got a chance to ride on at the Intro Day at Paris Raceway. That still seems to be the favorite map for most of our riders. It just has the best bottom end and torque, and if you make a mistake or you kind of ride a little bit taller gears, it pulls it the best, and kind of the motor recovers quickly and kind of starts building RPMs and gets back into the meat of the power the best. So that's still been our favorite riders. You can see the response map in this video here, as well as another map we kind of played around with was, we'll call it the THTR map. It has a really strong, healthy kind of bottom to mid-range, and it pulls a little bit better on top end than that response map, but maybe not quite as good as kind of the stock all zero map. So it's kind of like an in-between. It's really good bottom to mid-range, real strong, healthy there, and it has a better top end and response. So that was another one of our go-to maps that we liked running on this bike. And if we were just riding really fast, kind of wide open, flowy tracks. Even the stock map is really, really good. It doesn't really have a ton of torque off the bottom, but it revs out so far and makes so much power up top that it's just really fun to ride. And if it's a track where you can carry a lot of speed and momentum, that was a really fun map to ride in, and like I said, really fast bike. Another thing we were struggling with is we run through second gear pretty quick, and this bike doesn't have the torque to pull third gear through tighter corners as well as the old bike did. And so one of the things we tried going from a 50-tooth rear sprocket to a 49-tooth rear sprocket, and depending on the track, it was better or worse. I think if it's a faster, harder packed track where the bike isn't dragged down so much, we did feel as a step in the right direction. But if it's a softer track, a low mirror track, kind of heavier dirt or whatnot, then we felt like the second gear or the 49 tooth didn't pull quite as good through the rest of the gears. We would get a little bit more out of second gear, but then the rest of the gears we kind of suffered. So we kind of ended up going back to the 50-tooth rear sprocket. So that's kind of one thing that really needs to be just an internal change, is making second gear a little bit longer. Depending on the track, so we can go to a 49 tooth if it's hard and fast, but if it's soft and deep, then we'd stick to the 50 tooth and kind of just deal with that quicker second gear shift to second to third gear. But overall, we feel like this bike is a really good bike. In general, it's a little bit harder to ride fast maybe, and it takes a little bit more effort and energy to ride fast, but it's also, we feel it's a more fun bike to ride. But the other one was so smooth, so easy to ride for a 250F that it was like almost kind of vanilla and a little bit boring at times. For this, it's almost more like a little bit more like a 125, where you gotta know your shift points, gotta be aggressive. New chassis, super light and nimble, and turns really well. It feels tremendously lighter than the old bike, and like I said, overall just more fun bike to ride. Is it better or worse? That's for you to decide. A lot of our test riders do like this new bike over the old one. At the end of the day, Yamaha still has a solid package, solid contender in the 250F motocross class, and we're looking forward to riding some more of their new generation bikes. So for any more information on this bike or any of our other testing, visit dirtbiketest.com. Hit us up on the social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of that stuff, and we'll see you out on the trail.